country will always take it. We come back into this game. We're going to have RNG pick themselves onto the red side. So they're opting into this one here. The Kaisa was the option that they said, look, that was the issue we had. So Annie gets first pick straight away here by WE. And yeah, look, I know that the Jason the Maokai is a nice tantalizing offer, but I mean, Tanyuan just doesn't look comfortable on it. And he didn't really have that kind of same impact that we've seen him on things like the Ari and the Annie.
Yeah, which is definitely a bit of a shame, right? Because I feel like outside of the Ari and the Annie, Tanyuan's Jace was actually not that bad looking. So it looks like we will just see him on the Ari. They're probably just going to go via Ari, unless they want to hold on to the Ari because they know that Annie is there, right? So they can look for a priority AD carry. If they themselves want Xayah here, it wouldn't be a terrible pickup because then you can obviously stop the Xayah from being in the hands of Hope when you're the ones with Vi. So we'll see what RNG opt into. I feel like they're kind of locked into a first 3 set of champions already. It should just be Xayah into that Ari on 3, unless they want Aphelios, given the hover, and they're willing to play into it. Do they just want the Ari? They want the Ari. So let's see if WE just take up, maybe even just the Xayah Rakan, just full up, right? Let Hung's champion pool go to the wayside for now, unless they are really focused on having a solid 2v2 in the mid jungle. But even if you eat the bans, you know what the jungle matchup is, so chances are you should be able to find a very positive matchup almost always. WE, I feel like, have all the cards to play with right now.
Yeah, WE very happy to kind of pick up anything here. Looks like they're going to be taking your advice here and maybe going for the Xayah Rakan straight off of rip, recognizing that, look, you know, you either got to lock in your top laner or you got to lock in either an AD carry or a support.
I also feel like if you go towards jungle, then if RNG want to, oh, okay, this is an interesting path to take it. So Poppy, what Poppy does is it also kind of dissuades a Rakan pick on 4 for RNG, because chances are they're going to go towards the AD carry. They hovered the Aphelios last time around, which says to me that they're probably considering it the most, but they could also land on a couple of different options. I just feel like Aphelios, Varus, yeah, Varus is pretty good too. So looking at poke, looking at, you know, sort of pick engage here for RNG, and if they want the Rakan, it's going to be played into a lot of disengage tools here from the side of WE. So RNG, you might even see them ban out the Rakan themselves. But with the Nautilus ban first, it potentially does signal that they're still looking at it. So WE have a little bit of thinking to do themselves, as the support pools are likely to be pinched down quite low here.
Yeah, looking to see where they're going to be trying to focus in on. Of course, we might see a couple of bans on that top side from WE, as they're not really, kind of recognizing, look, we're going to be able to kind of give something on the backside of this one here. You would imagine that if RNG do not ban the Rakan, they're going to be picking it off that first rotation themselves. Yeah. Good dive buddy for the Vi and the Ari, so we'll see they're going to go for it. I like this from WE as well, just kind of recognizing, hey, look, we just don't want you to go the traditional lethality Varus builds. We're just going to take the Heimerdinger off the board just in case.
Yeah, just in case. This is a situation of who's going to blink first. So Janna's also gone. Do WE remove the Rakan? If they leave the Rakan up, then I'm sure Iwandi's got options into it. But even, you know, the Janna being banned away again, just as a sign of respect, I think Janna, something that can be played all right into Rakan for sure, right? All of that disengage from Janna if you're reacting in time, and it seems like WE will blink. They don't want to give it over, even though they've got that Poppy there and they've got a lot of defensive tools. They would rather just not. But with all of this focus on the support pool, what is at least good for WE and Hung is that the jungle pool was not touched at all. So they will still have. Oh well, of course they have Poppy. Duh. Sorry, I'm tired.
Well, it could be a Poppy Toppy.
Well, hey,
could
you know
be a
what?
Poppy
Actually,
Toppy.
yeah, all right. Thank you for saving me. It could be Poppy Top.
No problem. No problem.
Never know. But with all of the priority the way it felt, the rel is there, and we just get Iwandi's. Alistar, I'm sure we probably will. And then it's about what Cube wants to go towards. It's Renekton, isn't it? Oh man. I'm losing the fun in the draft machine. I'm losing it. I can't.
I see. Like I didn't want to mention the Renekton because I was like, you know what, and the Cassante, because I was just like, you know what, he's having fun, he's moving in here, he's getting a lot of cool things going for him. He's like, he's cooking up something, and I'm enjoying the theory crafting, if we will. It is probably going to be a Cassante and probably a Renekton for Breathe. That's probably what's going to be coming in here. I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't want to ruin your fun. I didn't want Cassante to be in here because he didn't get picked up. He got banned last game. But yeah, Cassante still busted.
Throwing up that SOS to the balance team. We've successfully removed Zed
on Monday.
Hold on a minute. Fiora for Breathe. That would be fun. That would be really fun, actually, because no one's going to beat him on the side lane. And as far as wave clear is concerned, RNG have plenty, as well as poke, and a lot of engage and disengage from the rest of their core. So this is a bit of a monster Fiora angle. I like it from Breathe, to be honest with you. And it does throw down the gauntlet. They're saying, look, you know, you dominated us in game number 1, no doubt about it. But if you don't, you know, do the exact same thing again here in game number 2, this Fiora will take over the side lane. It will dominate Cassante by the time it hits 2 items, and it's going to be pretty unplayable unless you are sending multiple members over to just remove the Fiora threat as a whole. And at that point, you're probably going to be losing more on the map. So RNG going to have to be playing a lot more, you know, macro based with this Fiora pick, which might sound a bit, you know, silly, but you have to make sure your lane assignments are great. You have to make sure you know where you're rotating, where your vision is, so that this Fiora can play her game. For WE, it's a lot more of, you know, kind of a similar style of last game where they have a lot of engaged tools. They have a lot of disengaged tools this time around as well. And I feel like they're going to be looking to kind of dance around with RNG's pick tools that they have and not get taken out randomly from Fog of War and then look to turn and re-engage those fights.
Looking to turn and re-engage, and like you said, having the Fiora, no one really going to be able to deal with her in a side lane after a very long time. So this is kind of a, again, like you said, WE need to be getting themselves on top of this. They need to be kind of pushing that same kind of momentum they had in game number 1 now into game number 2. Get that clean 2-0. And continue their kind of move up towards Weibo, because a 2-0 here will put them on the +8 game score with a game already played extra in hand over Weibo, which is equal to them. And that's when we start to get a little bit funky. It's when we start to see, you know, OMG now sitting on a +3 game score. Not exactly the best of situations for them. See if they can kind of push it in and get forward with that. But we're going to jump onto the rift for game number 2. WE already 1-0 up after a dominating game number 1. RNG looking to bounce back and give themselves a little bit of a cushion to try and maybe get up to that 7 wins.
What are RNG cooking here? Do they want Cube's flash is the big question, because look at the stack invade here from WE on the bottom side. It has left Cube exposed, and Lumao is here, so stun will be locked in, but do they have the damage to run him down? Maybe with the slow, he may have to just commit the flash. Does he want to pop a pot? Does he really just walk out?
Cube, he does have the shield. He flashes. Breathe underneath the tower, though. Gets himself first blood, and that's exactly what RNG needed.
Yeah, so this sucks for Cube. We'll see once the runes come back down, but he skilled E level 1, so he's not going to have a level 1 here into Fiora. That's going to be horrible. He doesn't have flash, so that's going to be worse. And Fiora's going to go back to base and probably pick up a longsword, or even worse. No, he couldn't pick up a coal. That's 450, so probably a longsword and an extra pot. Exactly that. So outstatted, and in the early phase at level 1, no Q to try and trade back with Fiora. So that is the perfect start for RNG. Now WE have to consider that Fiora is going to be accelerated and have pretty much a positive lane state whenever Breathe feels like. Cube just caught out by good preparation at level 1 from RNG.
Very, very good preparation and very good kind of, you know, just kind of honestly just heads up play and just saying like not only preparation, but the willingness to kind of push forward and say, cool, now you have an extra longsword in this lane. Now you have yourself an extra pot in this lane for Breathe, which means that even if someone like Hang, I mean, Cube can't really do anything about this. Even if the jungler comes up, like Breathe should just be fine. Yeah,
and you know, Observer's also highlighting it. He's got E-skilled, so he literally can't even proc his passive right now.
Yeah.
So
can't even get grasp really.
He can't trade grasp because he can't walk up to the minions, so he can't get grasp stacking. The Breach just has full control. Looks like he's gonna crash on the 3rd wave. Not really gonna matter too much for now, as Wei is pathing full clear down to the bottom side, and Hung is going for a 3-camp bot side gank. This should yield at least some of the spells if played out correctly. There's level 2. Oh, actually, Open Eye 1 got forced off XP a little bit, so decent on the XP. But the longer Hung waits, the bigger the chance that Wei could actually be here, though. I don't think they're reading it. Here you go, engage.
Yeah, here we go. We're going to get Luma getting punted back after the flash. He does have a flash available to him, but I think he knows he's dead regardless of what happens. So, going to be, I was going to say they would love to give that one over to Hope, but unfortunately does end up going over to the side of the Poppy. Still a kill, going over to WE, recognizing, look, top is kind of done. We need to get some advantages elsewhere.
Yeah, Hung needs some gold. He needs to be the carry in this game, all right, bud? All right. Either way,
sorry,
like you mentioned,
I'm just so ignorant to the way this jungle matchup works. Apologies.
No, it's absolutely fine. Hung is dead. Bye-bye,
dead,
Hung.
yeah. Or is he? One more auto? Oh, not even going to be needed. Just going to have the Q. I thought he would maybe get himself a little bit of a shield, but not to be. Tenguin flashing in, getting himself a kill. And RNG kind of keeping the momentum and the tempo going a little bit higher than we've previously seen from them.
Yeah, that was definitely on the greedy side. As Breathe. I mean, this is the thing. Like, you can't even really cast Q3 early on because you're always worried, right? The way you kind of micro it is you Q3 and then you use your E after the fact to try and dodge the riposte, but it's such a mind game. It's somewhat similar to, you know, the Counter-Strike when you're playing the Jax Fiora matchup, where you kind of, you know, bait Fiora into thinking you're going to recast it early and then just letting the whole thing play out, all of those kind of things. But either way, again, you know, Breathe definitely going to be getting the better end of this matchup for now. And RNG set up for that as Wei has acknowledged that the blue buff is here, has Smite, and Hung just smited himself, so he doesn't have Smite, but this blue buff is full enough HP, and it could get awkward. First move here actually from Lumao, of all people.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So
Lumao coming over the top will pretty much all but confirm this for the side of RNG, and I'm liking this tempo shift coming in here from RNG, kind of saying, look, we allowed you guys to control pretty much everything in those first few minutes of the last game. We cannot let that happen again. So they're just kind of pushing WE to all limits and making sure that, I mean, it's a double CS lead here for Wei. He's 4 camps up.
yeah, and going back to that whole tempo discussion we had, right, about how it can be a pendulum oftentimes. If you have winning lanes early on, you'll find that that pendulum is swinging on your side a lot more than it is the other. And the windows for opportunity in terms of, you know, looking back for counter blows, very, very limited. At the very least here, WE gonna find the chicken camp and a gank here onto Tango. Remember, no flash from earlier on.
Yeah, they're gonna see if they can get on top of him, but yeah, unfortunately, it's just a little too close to the tower, not enough damage to kind of bring him in. And he's got a red buff, so he's ticking up relatively nicely. He did take a nerf on 13-12, but still doing well.
Yeah, and you mentioned not enough damage. Anyone who says there's a damage creep, come on guys, there were 3 champions on top of that Ahri. She didn't die, get a grip. Either way, that aside. Dragon is going to be picked up here by RNG, and that's huge. I wanna be Hex Flash. Hong Hex Flash.
Double Hex Flash, yeah.
And they're just going to walk away. So RNG, the reason why this is huge, one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of split pushes these days, and I'm talking about like hardcore committed to the side lane split pushes, is often because these dragons spawn up that soul so early on that if you lose the early first couple of dragons here as a split pushing team, you have to then contest, you know, the 3rd, 4th dragon, which oftentimes is in and around that 20-minute mark, and it's before you guys can really bring over your side lane to even be a strong team fighter. So the fact they pick up this dragon is huge, because now if they really want to, they can yield effectively the next 2, and it really wouldn't matter that much. As Bree would continue to just win out on the side lane here, and this wave state is
rough.
It feels really bad. And at any point, Breathe could maybe look to exchange his ultimate with cubes. I know it's a lot shorter, I believe, Breathe's ultimate than the all-out. The all-out's like over 2 minutes long, if I recall correctly. It might actually just be 2 minutes on the dot, whereas the Grand Challenge is sitting somewhere in the realms of 90 to 100, I think, at level 1. There's definitely that window then to abuse it once it comes back up if you trade those ultimates. So, see what goes on there. Shanks gets a bit of a chunk onto Tangyuang, but that's not going to be the end of the world. Let's secure a little bit of priority for now. The RNG definitely can't necessarily answer out. Perhaps Shanks is going to look for a reset because he is emptying out his mana bar to clear this wave.
Yeah, funny enough, actually, I think the cooldowns on Fiora ult and the Cassante ult, I think it's 110 for Fiora level 1 and 120 seconds for the all-out. So actually pretty similar, in fairness. There's not a huge amount of difference there, but I do agree with you that I feel like if, especially with the all-out being so kind of telegraphed, like we always see the exact same plays all the time, where it's kind of, you get the knockback, you dash in, you get behind them, and then you can bring them over a wall. You have a riposte. You have got plenty of ways of dealing with any point in that CC chain, preferably the first part, which is going to be pretty easy for you to kind of deal with it and move on from.
Even worse, look, I'm not saying that we're going to see it happen in this game, but because the way that Cassante R works is when you ult, and if it's up against the wall, it will send you flying over the wall. If Fiora ripostes it, you will just go over the wall by yourself. It does happen like that. It doesn't just like keep him planted or like stun him or anything. The riposte basically just makes you immune from being displaced in any capacity, or of course stunned. So
yep.
We'll see if that interaction specifically happens. But Breathe, either way, really good start to this laning phase. We'll secure the Herald. They could technically get pincered on right now, but I feel like for WE, I mean, maybe if Tangyuan face checks here, a little rough.
I was going to say, Hang needed to get the Steadfast Presence up. He does have it now, but feel like he needed that a little bit earlier. The Charm is going to force his flash out of him. Flash forward, Breathe, looking for something that just wasn't there. And without the riposte, he gets punished. So greedy there from RNG, and WE were ready for him.
Not only was it greedy, but it was just really good discipline from Shanks, not panicking, waiting for the riposte to come out before he chucked his spells down to actually stun him up. Like you mentioned, definitely an overzealous move from RNG's Breathe. They get the Herald at the very least, and because of the attention that was drawn, and potentially a reset timer towards the top side, and the bottom side here from Hope, LP gonna pick up a plate. That's gonna feel good.
It's gonna feel pretty damn good, but for the moment now, we do see kind of movement from WE as they're starting to fight back a little bit. It looked like it was all RNG, and it is still very much in their favor in that top side, but that kill back definitely feels a little bit worse. Again, you see the engage coming out here. They wanted to try and burst out the Ahri, but again, the Ahri so powerful with those Spirit Rushes, being able to hold them for so long.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't really able to find the steadfast person, but look at Shanks. He just holds. He just waits. Like, he could have dropped Tibbers anytime, at any time before the riposte, whilst he was walking into that bush Breathe, but just waits and knows that Hung is going to be able to stick it out and survive. So, I mentioned good discipline here. Breathe is going to get a plate, almost 2. So, Divine Sunderer is going to be on its way. It's going to be on its way quickly. One thing I am kind of surprised about is we're not seeing the Thornmail adaptation from Cube here on the Cassante. Still going towards that Iceborne Gauntlet. Could also, of course, pick it up second, but you started to see it a lot, specifically into the Renekton, to kind of curb the healing. And I've certainly seen it utilized in matchups like these, where all of Fiora's damage is coded as auto attack damage, right? So that Thornmail really does not only curb the healing with the Divine Thunder and the passive, but she's also dealing like 50, 60 extra damage back to her with every auto attack. Really can turn the 1v1 specifically, but of course Iceborne Gauntlet a lot more about getting towards perhaps LP in those team fights and then having the additional lockdown. So good stuff there. WE, they've got set up around this dragon. First move from mid. A lot of vision control being swept away. That was once RNG's, so this should be the dragon pretty easily picked up here if they want it, but they've taken a little bit too long, so they've got to go back to waves. Still, you can see, even from where Wei is positioning, he's not too interested. Maybe even wants the Herald up on the top side. I think he'll turn around on this.
Okay, little bit of an awkward moment there. I feel like this is actually a really good way to kind of stop myself for a second. We are going to see the charm, almost Shanks walking into it, but recognizing he was just in the perfect position to not get hit by it. There's only be the single plate in that mid lane. Not ideal, to say the least, here for the side of RNG. Yeah, I mean, but like it kind of highlights a big issue for RNG so far this year, or the split at least, as we have seen LP now getting caught out. We'll hope be able to get the feathers in front of him. No real CC after the fact. And no!
Okay, action replay. Action replay. That should have not. That was
millimeters.
Did he did he flash late? I missed it.
Maybe it was a spectator bug. It definitely looked like a spectator bug.
That looked like it should have connected.
Yeah, but I mean, Shanks' flash is down on the exact same timer of Ways, so I'm gonna say it's a spectator bug. Either way, Wei not really linking up with his mid laner. Like, going in after you've already used the Spirit Rush feels odd.
Yeah, that was definitely a peculiar sequence for RNG. And just generally, I'm going to go back to the point I've been making a lot over the last few weeks. Why did Wei not drop that Herald top? Like, I feel like, WE's wave clear, pretty limited. And at the end of the day, eventually LP's going to go mid. He's got the stack shape. He's going to clear waves super easily and have priority. And that chip damage will start to build up. Go give Fiora more gold, man. Like, that's kind of what you've set up for this entire draft. You even R5'd it, right? So, a bit of a small, frustrating personal moment on my end, but I won't make it cost about me. I feel like for RNG, that's where you want to put your eggs into the basket of, right? That's the champion that can 1v2 on the side lane. For RNG, either way, get one plate onto Wei in the mid lane, and that chunk onto that tier 1, of course, can pay off dividends at the end of the day. They have find another recharge there. Herald, next one that is, spawns in a minute's time, so I anticipate RNG will look to contest that yet again.
Come back in, 1,000 gold lead. RNG still not out of this series just yet. And yeah, I was going to say, Luma needs to be very careful. Has the Glacial Augment, not the Aftershock. So with Heng coming down in now to the spot side. Just seeing if he can maybe make something else happen. I will say, while we were kind of talking about the interaction between Wei and Shanks, we did see the Dragon going over in favor of WE, and Infernal Soul as well. Exceptional for both of these sides. Definitely one of the most powerful dragons in the game. So we do have a full reset coming in here with no Dragon on the bot side. It looks like they're kind of saying, look, we'll give over a little bit of this, you know, kind of pressure with no real plates to be given. As we can see, here comes the all-out right in on top of Breed. I don't think Shanks actually landed the stun there, which is a little bit unfortunate. Now Breed can get the healing coming down in a 1v2. Flash, not quite enough damage, not quite enough distance, I should say. It ends up being a 1-for-1. Still think this is okay for WE if they can cover this mid lane. They should be able to do so.
Yeah, Breathe, I'm not gonna lie, a little bit fortunate that he procced the passive to actually get the ultimate off there on the left-hand side, because Cube was hugging that wall, but either way, a little bit of misexecution as well from WE. The Shanks stun, not connecting, not chain CCing that Fiora after she comes over the wall and the all-out. Definitely makes that situation a lot more navigatable for RNG's top laner. They will still pick up the Herald or at the very least get things kicked off. Waze in that top tri-brush, LP's down here, so the cross-map has already happened. That's the exchange here for RNG, but can they put their hand in the cookie jar? Looks like the answer is nope. WE will pick up that Herald. Can they stop this base? No. Iwandi doesn't want to.
Yeah, I was going to say, Iwandi was thinking about it for half a second or so, but maybe they were thinking, look, it's still a rel with Flash and everything else. We'd rather get the full damage and full pressure on this mid lane. But let's have a look at this one here, because it got so close. I don't think Shanks lands the stun here.
The W goes wide a little bit late, but look at this from Breathe, because he somehow gets the left hand proc as well. Cube's just not hugging the wall well enough, and Breathe also, just in general, like, the speed at which he procced the grand challenge was kind of nuts. Like, then Cube W'd behind him, so he got the bottom one, then he managed to get the left and then top one within, like, the span of less than a second, it felt like. Feels like all those TikToks you see of the Chinese Fioras.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. It's like, how does this guy do this? They've like literally like built it up like in a beautiful like architecture of like, I can do it if I get these exact conditions in that I've tested in a bot game. But we'll see come back now. 30 seconds till the dragon spawns. We will see WE conceding this top lane turret, and now let's see all of that farm as well. So Breed able to kind of start building off of this side lane pressure, and that's why Cube is on bot lane, which in fairness is kind of okay for the side of WE right now, because Dragon's going to be spawning in 20 seconds, and that's the next big objective that WE really want to start stacking against. You mentioned how hard it is for a split pushing team to split push when Dragons start to stack.
Yeah, it's when you start to have to be dragged over to those situations, right, where you have to come to that
Dragon.
Dragon. So RNG are trying to cross map here, but Shanks just isn't taking the bait. He's being very, very patient. Not spoiled each other out yet. But Wei has full information because he can see him on the ward. As oh boy.
Oh, the flash in, the flash out. Tangyuan recognizing he needed to get away from that one there.
So
that's his ultimate burn. Wei is still top.
Issue,
and they,
big issue here.
Yeah.
Shanks has stopwatch. So he's going to press his... Yeah. And then he's going to flash out.
And then he's going to TP because he's got a stun. Breathe is here, and this is disastrous for RNG. They waited so long. The riposte was telegraphed. Oh my days, RNG, it's falling apart. They had such a great start. Lumao is here, but I mean, no one's there to kind of fight with him.
Yeah, no, WE should secure this dragon, but can the follow-up be secured here? Hung.
Oh, another TP. Shanks is coming back.
Oh,
Shanks is coming back. They will get the one hung, but again, that was kind of fine for it, because now they're going to jump onto LP. The feathers will fly. Hope is still alive. They're trying to burn onto him. He flashes away. The feathers were almost so good there. Tangyuan does not have any more spirit rushes left. They're going to try and burn him down before he can do anything else. There's a confirmed kill going over to the Alistair. Shanks flashes away, finally gets hit by the Q. They will able to kind of finish off Iwandi, you would imagine, with plenty of damage in CC. Punts away the buy, but she'll have her Q back in 2-1. That's going to be an easy one to finish off here. So RNG, they take the fight. I mean, WE, though, they're kind of pulling them around the map. RNG have to get scrappy.
Yeah, RNG do have to get scrappy. At the very least, the kills do start to pull the gold lead over in favor of RNG, so maybe they can start to get a couple of key second item completions in a little bit ahead of time of WE. But yeah, I mean, guys, press tab. Stopwatch is there for Shanks. So much burst damage sent back into Breeve's way, and I love this from Cube as well. Just holds onto his R until the riposte comes out, and then just, you know, to secure it. Realistically, probably didn't need it, but at the end of the day, right, you're just talking about locking down the Fiora and not having there be any wiggle room out, as down here, a little bit messy, to say the least. Dragon secured, RNG able to respond. Dash out from Tangyuan on the combo, and at this point, Hung already been minced. Hope has so many feathers on the floor, but I just don't feel like they all hit, right? It's enough to root up, but like with that many feathers on the floor, you would have expected, you know, a lot more damage, to say the least, even at this stage of the game. Yeah, unfortunately the stun doesn't interrupt the Q or wait. Rather, Shanks doesn't have the W to stop the channel in time, so does get taken out as well, as the rundown was also available for I1. The W just taking loads of towers though on the sides here via Cube. That'll be the second tier 1 that he's taken down on either side of the map. And RNG will try and answer out in the mid lane. They'll do just that. So tower trades across the board. All of these outer towers dead. So RNG still keeping up in that regard. And like we mentioned, second item completions are now what we're going to have to track, right? With this gold lead being so minute, if there's any big item breakpoints that RNG can abuse, that's where we have to keep our eyes. But for now, WE honestly still within touching distance of RNG and have the ability certainly to answer them. It seems like on the side lane for now, as they have been sending Shanks over to keep Breathe in check.
And the thing is as well that gold lead can be a little bit deceiving as well, because just naturally with Han going towards that Evan Shroud, it's just a much cheaper item, like a significantly cheaper item in the grand scheme of things comparatively to something like the Black Cleaver. So I think it's like 2,300 to, I believe it's 3,100. So there's almost an 800 gold difference in terms of those item completions that can come out there. So it is like a huge kind of, you know, factor in this. And you always say that it's not about gold, it's about item completions. They change how the game is played, and it really does feel like WE, despite being a little bit behind this early game, are kind of feeling a bit more comfortable. It feels like they're the ones kind of coming forward and being a lot more, you know, pronounced in these fights and making the tempo plays.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's damage, whether it's things like stasis, spell shields, whatever it may be from an item, that will change often how your champion is able to navigate fights, how much freedom you have. Like even Cube right now, having this Thornmail on top of the Iceborne Gauntlet, he's going to be able to 1v1 Breathe until Breathe picks up. Well, let's see if he's got the Hydra. I don't think he's got enough gold. Maybe I'm telling fibs. Remember, that Fiora build path is very, very expensive, but he has got it. So with the Hydra, it will even out a little bit, but Cube with so much armor, still going to be able to hold onto Breathe for a little bit. Can certainly get run down if he takes short trades into a very long one. But you get the idea. Either way, item completions are certainly there for RNG. 2 items across the board, whereas for WE, this 3k gold lead is actually a pretty meaningful one, right? Hung, not 2 items. Shanks and Hope as well, not 2 items as well. So that's where things will matter. They take a fight now, likely to lose out just on some of those differences alone, just at face value. RNG, full control for now of this top side as they start to just slowly push in. Drop a couple of wards slightly deep, but even in doing this, it's the dragon that spawns in 30 seconds time. So are they willing to give up this next dragon to WE in favor of maybe getting Breathe a tier 2? I feel like it's a pretty big gamble, but one that they may be willing to make.
Might not be the tier 2 they're looking for, though. Might be that Baron. You can see a lot of wards in that mini-map littered across the, you know, kind of top side of the map. Nothing for the side of RNG on that bot lane. They're really kind of relying on this one sole pink ward, which I think is going to be cleared out by the Cassante in a couple of seconds. So again, just kind of now focusing their efforts around this dragon, trying to say, look, we need to stop RNG or WE from kind of stepping up, as now Cube gonna be fine. Again, just, you know, not really worried about this. He's already got his Thornmail and his Iceborne Gauntlet. He is chilling right now. He's no one really who's gonna be able to go toe-to-toe with him, except if you're in a 5-man stack.
Yeah, pretty much. And even has the Merc Treads for all of the pick tools and CC with Tenacity. He's going to be able to slip out quite easily, starting to go towards a little bit of extra MR as well. As, okay, RNG ended up with the dragon because they landed with all the control, but it's a Baron startup from WE, which RNG are aware of now with that blue ward. The collapse looks like
here. TP's coming in. He's get punted away. This is gone. Dead. Gone. Buried. It's nothing you can do about it. You have got an Alistair to kind of keep everybody away, and now he has to use his ultimate, but he'll trade his life gladly. Can anyone else get out? It's going to be a flash in. Breathe and wait, trying to see if they can jump in onto this backside as well. They will take out Hung. Cube using the ultimate and the dashes, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get away. That charm was huge from Tang Yuan, but will he be able to save his life? No, he won't. Shanks flashes away. You only get 2 of your Baron buffs out. RNG with a dragon and 3 kills, potentially getting themselves this bot tier 2 as well.
I mean, maybe, but I feel like with a mini wave that thin, yeah, it's basically there, right? So not going to get the tier 2, but RNG strip away 3 Barons. Hope and Shanks, though, the ones that get out with those Baron buffs, the 2 carries of WE, that's still going to feel like an okay-ish trade, right? So we'll see how WE can navigate with the Barons that they do have. As you get a look at the replay, I like the gamble. I mean, taking the Baron off the map for RNG here feels quite nice. The Keeper's Verdict goes just a hair wide. Maybe could have made the fight a 5v4 that they could have looked to have taken, but with that, unfortunately, Hung gets clipped by that engage there and does drop. And then on the way out, Cube does his best to try and disengage, but multiple summoner spells burn. The Flash Charm as well, quite excellent, but then the entire combo gets dropped on Tung Yuan. And if he had a stopwatch, I'm not entirely sure. He definitely didn't have an opportunity to use it. No, he didn't. So, just gets one shot in the CC. Feels bad for him, but WE get what they came for technically whilst taking it off the map, so RNG can't pressure them with that, right? They were starting to accumulate a bit of a gold lead, and you start to get a little bit worried about being suffocated out. With it off the map, you can start to try and retake control of at least somewhere on the map where you want to try and take a tower.
And that's the big thing, because you had already taken 2 of the 3 first dragons. That 4th dragon meant very little to you, as we see a teleport. Maybe onto LP, who does have flash and cleanse. Oh, you cannot flash the Q. Really nicely done there by Shanks, and those little moments are key, as we see Han gets caught out just a little bit, does have his ultimate, but not quite sure if he's going to be able to knock back enough people to make sure it's significant enough. Ends up being a 1-for-1 trade. Breathe is kind of in no man's land. Now gets caught out here. Will have his own riposte to try and stop any kind of CC, so should not be getting caught out here, but it's getting a little wet and wild right now. It does feel like again, it's down to who is able to catch out who rather than who kind of out-executes the other.
Yep, do agree. Everyone's kind of getting a little bit sloppy in these rotations. Oh, run into Breathe, but won't be able to exchange damage. This is the tier 2 that WE want for now. And they should just about get it. Maybe a collapse comes in from Wei, but I feel like it would be a pretty awkward fight to take against the side of WE when you've got Tang Yuan on the bottom side. So tier 2 goes down. Very, very easy pickup. A little bit of extra cash injected into the wallet to WE, but it's a long wraparound that Hung's going to cover. So, you know, look, Hung, he knows about those long flanks. All right, bud? He's just going to lock that one down. Maybe Wei gets out of the bush and steals this blue buff. He's hunting. He's looking. And he won't get it.
No Smite fight win there for you. Double blue buffs over to the side of WE. So come back in. 2,000 gold lead. Nothing exceptional for the moment. RNG 2-2 against our WE when it comes to those dragons as well. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, the Baron buff is kind of stalled that momentum that RNG were building up for themselves. It stopped a lot of what they were trying to kind of build up for themselves. And you're now nearly getting towards those 3 items here for the Xayah. And yes, you do have fantastic AP ratios here for LP and that stopwatch being picked up, but it does feel like when you're looking at super consistent late game team fighting, you're always going to be looking a little bit more at the Xayah than you are the Varus.
Yeah, certainly just across the board on WE composition, right? What I will say, Breathe has picked up the Hull Breaker, so he's got a lot of additional magic resist, which is going to help him, but also those buffed up supers going to be a lot harder to clear from whoever's matching him, whether it's Shanks or Cube, and that will give him the window to start hitting towers as well. So keep your eyes on Breathe on the minimap in terms of how far up he actually gets. Will this be the ultimate blown from hope cleanse? Oh, and cleanse.
Yeah. And flash.
Wow.
I mean, he was probably afraid that Wei was going to flash Q over the wall there, so Hope, honestly, probably should have just ulted from the start. Once the you know, the rail comes in, you should probably ult from that point. And that was an absurd amount of damage coming out from Breathe with his Hull Breaker. And it means he's able to take a turret. So that's going to be Dragon, the turret tier 2 and topside. Possibly even more damage with this tier 2 on bot lane. RNG starting to pick back up that momentum that they lost after that Baron take, and WE are struggling to figure out how do they deal with it.
Yeah, exactly, and this will be 3rd Dragon. WE not going to be able to pick it up. So RNG with Breathe now on this Hull Breaker spike. I feel like the best thing to do, send him on a reset. Maybe he picks up on the wave, but send him on a reset, get him on the bottom side of the map. Let him split push now that the Dragon's off for 5 minutes, off the map for 5 minutes. Baron spawns in 40 seconds time. And just have someone have to answer him, because you saw how much damage he dealt to that tower now at 3 items. Hull Breaker as well, because it makes you deal a flat 20% more damage to structures with that demolish. If it's dealing, you know, 1,000, it's an extra 200, and every single auto attack also has that same amp on it. So Breathe will chew through these towers very, very happily. And again, WE, I feel like now don't really have a suitable answer to that Fiora. Maybe Shanks, now that he's got the death cap, he's going to deal a buttload of damage, but you need Shanks on the other side of the map unless you're going to put him in a position where he can teleport flank. And right now, it feels like WE don't necessarily have the best vision set up for that, and RNG are being quite meticulous about removing any deep vision that's been set up by WE.
Slowly but surely, death cap finished up for Shanks. Bloodthirster finish up for the Xia. They jump onto Bloom now, getting decent damage onto him, and that's going to force him into a stasis. Will he be able to flash away? No, he will not. That could spell into the Dragon. Now, you've lost a lot of your follow-up engage for Wei, so with Breed kind of pushing this bot side, being dealt with by Cube, you have to try and fight this now as RNG.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. RNG, what's the call? How do you deal with this? Iwandi's on the side.
He's holding on to your life with that unstoppable or unbreakable will. There's going to be the Chain of Corruption over the side there, and there's going to be the Baron secured, but the inhibitor was taken because Cube cannot deal with him. Iwandi will flash away. Does he stay alive? That's the question.
Oh, Tangyuan.
Ooh, Tangyuan flashing, just about to stay alive, but Hope still around. Maybe looking for something else right now. Shanks has got a stun available to him. Hang. Gonna try and just use that blast going to keep himself. So 4 Baron buffs out, but you did lose an inhibitor. Top lane's pushing in your favor, but should be cleared out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Cube couldn't hold on to that minion wave. It's really awkward. You have to stay underneath the tower to have a fighting chance of winning that 1v1. But unfortunately, brought the minions underneath the tower, and Breed was like, oh, okay, brilliant. This kind of minion's taking aggro. He just took it in the face whilst that fight was going on up there. Ends up leading into an inhibitor takedown. So RNG now probably send Breed to top. And then WE have to try and answer out. I mean, I guess at the very least, WE did get away again with this Baron buff, but at the end of the day, Breed just picked up a GA off the push. So he is massive. RNG have pretty firm control of the map. There's a teleport ward there, I guess in the lane, if Breed desires to find a flank, but I'm not necessarily sure he's going to care. I think what he sees in his eyes right now is the inhibitor, right, on the top side of the map, whilst everyone's focusing on the dragon. But with 2 minutes away from that spawn, WE could certainly pay him a visit. Speaking of being paid a visit.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Cube has very little magic resistance all in all, but he's now isolated Tangyuan with the all out, and he's going to try and go for it. They are going to force both ultimates out of Tangyuan and Wei. They will be up before the next dragon does spawn, but that's a good Baron buff to take off the board here for RNG as they start to build back that momentum. 1 minute 40 till that dragon spawns. And actually, Hope lost his ultimate there because I think Lumao just went in with the crash down.
Oh yeah, that he did. Okay. Seems to be the case. Well, Chains of Corruption are also off cooldown, so... or on cooldown, rather. So I think that's probably what it was from both sides. Tangyuan pushing in this bottom side wave, so Hope's going to have to come and answer. Now there's a full-blown collapse here on the top side onto Hung. They should be able to get him.
They're looking for him. Iwandi's there, though, and Shanks is on a perfect flank, so maybe they look to try and turn back onto him. Shanks going to have to use the Tibbers immediately. Does get hit by the piercing arrow. Ooh! That steadfast presence was so key, and everyone just starts to back away. We're starting to hit critical mass when it comes to damage, and one small mistake can lead to the end of the game.
It was 2 steadfast presences, actually. The first one stopped Bree from proccing all 4 procs of the passive. The second one potentially saves Shanks' life there on the way out. Collapse leads to nothing. Gets Bree's flash, I suppose, so keep our eyes on that as he continues to put pressure down on this top side of the map. He sees Cube, and now he's also sees Shanks, so I like this adaptation here from WE. Just going, look, we know you want to split push. We're just going to send both our solo laners with teleport to this side of the map and see if the rest of our map can try and just, you know, push through, get a little bit of vision in. Wei's going to chunk out Iwandi, but it's not the biggest chunk in the world. And again, they're just trying to push Bree back. They don't want to give him the space to even make it to the base. But the more that they invest up here, the bigger room for error, and Hung in danger.
Yeah, in a lot of danger. It's unstoppable, but a flash from the both junglers as they recognize the solo laners are here. Dragon has spawned, and you have to fight this as WE. If you give an Infernal Soul over to the side of the Fiora, that is just got to be game over. You've lost the Spirit Rush, and you've lost a lot of your engages. Chain of Corruption coming back in a couple of seconds.
Here you go, Hung.
But here goes Hung. He jumps in onto LP, who has to cleanse, but you can't cleanse that knock-up afterwards. Flashing away, Chain of Corruption finally comes out, as we can see Hope putting in damage. But can Cube hold against Breed? That is the question. I don't think he can do it for a long time, so WE, you need to get out of this fight immediately.
Yeah, you have to. Or you have to send it. What's going to happen?
Here
Dragon's
we
being
go.
flipped. It's flipped.
Oh, secured. Got themselves the Dragon Soul. Now RNG might fight for this game. They're going to jump straight in on top of LP. He's dead. Going golden is Shanks as they look to try and take out the rest of RNG. Lots of damage still available to them. The charm is good, but it's only on top of the Poppy. GA does get popped here by Way, and he's going to try and move back in on top of this one here. The Everfrost doesn't land, but the Spirit Rush is good enough. Going back over the wall, does he have the damage? Hope though, flashing in, kills off Lumao. Now they got to make sure they go back to the base. That's all they want to do in RNG is just keep them here because they're losing everything. Breathe is 1v1ing. He's 1v9ing. He's killing everything. TP going to be coming in now. It's going to be the Annie to try and make this one work. The inhibitors are gone. The Nexus is alive. There's no flash available for Shanks. And Breathe ends it all. Soloing the entire game, and we will go to a game 3.
Woo. My goodness me, one action-packed back end of that game there. Breathe able to take the entire base. It was looking a little bit